How hard did you push it? Till I black out? Yes. Numerous times, yes.
What's happening, MuniciPals? This is Big Chris and Ashton. We're back.
We're back.
How you been, my guy?
Good. I have been good. 2 updates. Well, a couple things. Just kind of filling off the cuff here on doesn't matter. It's a Tuesday night. No one knows. Doesn't matter. Dates are not real in this world. Like, you guys don't even know when we're recording this. So my Braves are vibing. I mean, we lost tonight to the Rockies, which is a bit of a tough scene, but the Phillies and Mets keep losing. So this is apologies to all of the Giants fans. This is a fun fact. I live in the Bay Area and absolutely hate the Giants. So we might get Actually, you do too. So
fucking hate the Giants.
This is an anti-Giants podcast. I looked at the Braves have a higher win, like on Fangraphs. They have a higher win probability in the World Series than the Giants, which is tough because the Giants just clinched the spot in the playoffs and are probably going to win the division. But this isn't a baseball podcast. It's just nice to have your team be 4.5 up in the division with 19 games left. So that's one. 2, we talked to Tom Coyne, and it was pretty good. Well, what the people say if it's good, but it was a very enjoyable conversation. You do such a good job kind of getting these guests lined up. And at least for me, it's not that I don't believe you. It's simply that until the person shows up on the screen, it just doesn't feel real. And when it's like Tron Carter or Matt Cardis, or, I mean, I love Tron, but like, it's fucking Tom Coyne, right? I mean, it's Tom Coyne. And it happened, and it was cool, and that is coming out next week, and I just can't wait for people to hear that conversation. Not only to hear a bunch of stuff that, things that you might have heard Tom Coyne talk about, but we lead off talking about, Tom Coyne just got back from the Coyne Cup and hanging out with Bill Murray and his family, and you guys might have seen on his Instagram that he was doing that, but you're not going to hear, I don't think, anywhere else about what that interaction was like yet. Probably kind of a worldwide MuniciPals exclusive. So really hyped on that. And then the last thing is I kind of set my first golf goal in a while. I've been playing so much golf with you, inspired by you, kind of doing the MuniciPals thing, but I've been talking around it, but I sort of planted my flag for the first time this week. And I got a teacher. For many of you actually know Brad Merrick. He was the low PGA professional at Kiowa at the PGA. He had the bucket hat. He was doing kind of the goofy stretches. But we had my first lesson on Friday, and it went really well. So my goal for next year is to have the handicap to qualify for the California Mid-Am. And then my 2023 goal is to actually qualify for the damn thing. Because as we all know, there's a huge difference between, I think it's a 4.4 index. There's a big difference between showing up and playing 2 days of stroke play and falling out versus going and, I don't know the number, but shooting probably like around par for 2 days. And that's why I'm kind of excited. I think Brad would probably be on my shoulder, be like, oh, we should work at it for this year. And like, I'm going to work towards it for this year. But as far as like actually feeling confident on the first tee to be able to go up there and be like, there's no reason I can't do this. I got to show up, but there's no reason I can't do this. That's going to be more of a 2023 goal. So yeah, Braves are riding. Tom Coyne's in the can, and setting a really ambitious goal, and that feels really good because I love our rounds. I love doing some very low stakes gambling and drinking some beers, but I'm ready to get good. I'm ready to get good. So that has me kind of juiced up as well. So it's a lot of me talking, man. But how are you? It was your birthday. How was your birthday? You are a year older. I don't actually even know how old you are, but how was your birthday?
It was good. Joined the mid-30s club, so that was fun. Got a great round in. We'll talk about it a little bit later in the pod at Cross Creek down near Salem. And then later that night, I actually had my third Muni Madness out at Wildwood, which was a great time. I mean, the group of guys that I've developed into my core group of buddies that I golf with out here, which is a grip of guys in a short time. There's probably between 15 and 20 guys on a regular basis that I play rounds with. So all of them showed up and more, and it was just an absolute blast. I loved it. We got a great group photo this time for my birthday, and I was excited about that. And Dane came out from Matchstick, which you guys will hear, or if you listen to last week's pod, you'll hear Dane in that pod. And great guys, great people. Ryan as a host out there has been spectacular, and I can't say a lot of negative things. My birthday was fantastic. I did what I love to do, and that was play golf. So, but the big thing is I'm joining you, and this is kind of a goal that we're gonna do in combination. Yeah. And I am also going out for the Oregon Mid-Am next year. So, I've been working with Eric Dahl. If anybody knows he is the neighborhood golf academy out at the Muni Kids golf shop.
Such a dope name. Love that.
Yeah, great fucking name. And Eric played college golf for Max and Drew, actually. They played out at I apologize. I wish I knew the actual school they played out, but I'm pretty sure it was out in Idaho. Eric, I apologize. If you listen, I apologize. I don't know the school you guys were at, but is a baller, and what we have been working on has been helping me drastically. The target thing that we've figured out for my game is me being able to hit more fairways off the tee. So fairways and reg, I think, is my biggest flaw in my game. I'm averaging 4 fairways a game around. And with a guy that's shooting in the mid 70s, averaging 4 fairways in a round is ridiculous. And it's not because I hit like Bryson DeChambeau and I'm just like bombing shit all over the place, and then I just have little wedges or punch shots out of places. I'm drastically, not confident when it comes to stepping up with my driver. And any course that's under 6,500, I'm going to probably play my 3-wood, 90% of the time, just because it allows me to hit more of those fairways. So working on my driver and really getting that more accurate, it's been something I've been working on, and I'm really excited. I have the same 2-year goal as you. We set the same goal there, and I think it's going to be a fun fucking challenge for both of us.
Yeah, well, I think the other thing too, we've talked about this, but I think it's important to kind of plant the flag again. Our handicaps are close. Like I'm a 6.8. What are you, Chris?
I am a 7.1. So we're pretty much exactly the same.
About the same, but the funny thing is we've talked about a bunch is really different games. So I mean, even how we're going to go about this is going to be really different. And Chris, I mean, I think this probably isn't the podcast to go super deep because again, I've only had one lesson. But just to kind of get you shaking in your boots, Brad told me that I basically don't have a shoulder turn. So he's like, once we get working on that, he thinks I'm going to hit it significantly farther than I do right now. He basically told me I've basically been diagnosed. I've always sort of hit it off the toe with my irons, and he basically told me that I have like really terrible hip mobility. So what I'm going to be working on is I'm actually going to be going, I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's the equivalent of like Titleist Performance Institute. In a couple weeks, I'm going to Brad's guy. I'm going to spend an hour and kind of diagnose where my body kind of is strong or weak. And then basically he thinks I need to get more hip mobility because he's like, you don't really have a shoulder turn because your hips don't move. But if we can get you with a real shoulder turn, he's like, I don't know how far you're going to hit it, but on TrackMan, it was like 295 with no shoulder turn. He's like, I don't know, man. Like, this is good. We're just going to see. Again, distance isn't really the issue. It's more of, as you said, been hitting it all over the yard with a 2-way miss. And that's just, that's not fun on a Saturday, and it's something that you simply can't compete with. So I think it'll be fun to know that, we're in different states with similar handicaps and different games, but, we know why people come here more for the course reviews, but I think just sprinkling in some of this stuff and talking about what we're working on is interesting. And like I've tried to do with some of our guests, getting a better sense of their games, right? When I talk to Hussey, like, what's he working on? Nick, what's he working on? I think it's, as a golf dork, I love hearing about how my friends are grinding and who they're working with. Like even Nick, he just found a new, like his first teacher in San Diego. And he's super stoked and is buying different tools and trainers. And he just texted me right now and said he had a golf work event and he was okay. But he's like, it's hard to go out there and care about how you play when his direct quote was, my swing is a very serious work in progress. And I feel that, right? Like, I was doing stuff on my round on Sunday where I'm like, wow, nothing's different, but this just feels totally different. And there's going to be a lot of that, but it's gonna be fun to talk to you about it for sure.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this journey, and I, with teaming up with E, and E's probably going to caddy for me in the mid-am as well, which I'm excited for that. So having my coach person that's actually going to be working with me week in, week out with my game, and knowing how I play to come out and caddy with me, I think is going to be a big plus as well. So pretty fucking stoked on that. But
that's awesome.
A thing I'm really excited to talk to you about is one of my childhood treats that my dad would bring us to whenever, we had a special occasion or anything like that, was Cinnabar Hills out in San Jose. So you got a chance to go out and play Cinnabar Hills, and it was set up as the Lake Mountain course. So give people a little insight on what I mean by like setup.
Yeah. So Cinnabar Hills, I also love that you say delightful or delicious because, it reminds me of Cinnabon. Like, it just does. It makes me think of cinnamon rolls, which is a good place to start, right? Because, I have vivid memories of being a child and going into going to buy shoes or something for school. And it's like, man, I'm not going to get that, but like, fuck, that smells delicious, right? So, but no, Cinnabar Hills has nothing to do with Cinnabon. It's truly in the hills of San Jose. So it was just bizarre. You get off at the exit and you have another like 12 minutes and you're just kind of winding and winding and winding and winding. For anybody who's played there, honestly, Chris, it reminded me a lot of Calipe. Like you get off and you're like, why do I have 16 minutes left? I'm off the exit. It's because you're kind of winding up these hills. It was also a little bit weird that day because me and producer Jack, there was both smoke and fog. So you're kind of driving up the hills and it's hazy, but it's kind of warm. So you weren't totally sure. And then you pull in and there's this really beautiful clubhouse. Great clubhouse. As far as I can jump to kind of this part, the amenities were great. Great clubhouse. The driving range was great, short game area, 2 putting greens. We didn't utilize this stuff, but full restaurant, really good halfway house where I did not get one, but our buddy Adam got a great sandwich. Just kind of all the amenities you want. But as you said, and you can help me here, Chris, there's 3 nines. So I thought it was really fun. This is because I'm a 10-year-old, but people would pull up to the starter and say, hey, I'm playing. And then, the starter actually earned his money there because it's like, oh no, you're not teeing off there. You're teeing off at Mountain or you're teeing off at Lake. Which then of course had me all these questions. Cause I was like, well, if we're going to play Lake on the second half, how does that work if people are teeing off? And I never got an answer to that, but we played the Mountain Lake combo, which producer Jack, that's his preferred routing. Brian, our buddy who made the tee time, Brian really likes the Canyon 9-hole, which I did not play and cannot talk about. Maybe you can provide some context, but I think to kind of just set the setting before you kind of dive in and ask me some more questions, even though I mentioned it's kind of in the hills when you're pulling up, it's truly in the hills. That golf course there's ups, there's downs. One of the only tough scenes is I would not suggest walking it. Even if you're a good walker, pace of play, you're going to have people catch up to you and it's going to be a problem. Like, it's just a place you should cart. But it's a place where I was more than happy to cart because greens were awesome. Conditions were great. It was a wonderful, wonderful day. So happy to dive in more, but Cinnabar stood up to everything y'all had said. And the greens were just wonderful. Really interesting complexes, big greens, small greens, undulating. I mean, everything you could want. And damn, man, they were quick. Like on the second hole, Brian had like a 15-foot putt down the hill and putted off the front of the green. I mean, just they were moving. It was really, really nice to kind of see a public course with that much play have greens be that good.
Yeah, so like you were talking about earlier with the three nines, so it really comes down to, so since this course was built in the 90s and in Silicon Valley, there is a chance of them getting a proper algorithm that allows them to be able to utilize all three of the nines in one day and get I'd say not twice as many golfers, but a good 2/3, maybe a lot more golfers out there than you possibly could if you were just having 18 holes out there, or 18 with another 9 that you separate and only book per side. So with that algorithm, with the computer program that they have, it allows them to be able to book on multiple nines, and won't overlap when you change to each 9, which is pretty incredible. And to be totally transparent, I think a lot of properties going forward or that are being built, I think that's something that should be done more often, because it allows a lot of golfers to experience different things every time they come out as well.
I was going to say, I mean, I think the thing it immediately does is it makes you wrap up, especially when greens are especially when the experience is wonderful and the greens are great. We walked off and I even told Jack, I was like, I want to play Canyon. Like, it may not be your preferred brand of vodka, but like, I would definitely like to play Canyon now. So I think that it basically, that maybe not that day, but another, it at least ensures someone's going to come out to your golf course at least twice. Right. And I think, again, when you're a place like Cinnabar, which, isn't cheap, I think it was like, close to $90, but again, I don't care. Like, the greens were so good and the routing was so interesting and there were so many good kind of viewpoints and vistas. It was like, okay, sure, like that's fine. I mean, it was just totally worth it. So yeah, I think that it helps get more golfers on the course, and as a golf course means you're going to have people coming back, and I think that's exactly what you want, right?
And absolutely. And I think some of our listeners, especially the ones in the Bay Area, might light me on fire for this take, but I'll play Cinnabar for $90 over Carica Park every day of the week. And you know what? Carica is more walkable, and it's I would say a unique experience to what you get in the Bay Area, because Cinnabar does have similarities to a lot of the hillier, more mountain style, not mountain, but hilly, foothill kind of courses that are in the Bay Area, where you have Calipe, like you talked about, and Wente a little bit, and Eagle Ridge, and those type of courses, and even Poppy Ridge. Those type of courses are very similar in the aspect of they're all built kind of on the hillsides of these foothills of the Bay Area, but the conditions you get out there and the rotating 27, I think for the same price, is a little bit more intriguing for me. And I think maybe because I grew up in San Jose and that was a course that I held close to my heart, because it was kind of a treat whenever my dad would bring us out there. We got to play
It was
a
a
tournament.
cinnamon roll.
Yeah. It was a fucking cinnamon roll. It was like going to Cinnabon when you got to go to the mall. And so I really always loved that course, and it's always going to have a close, spot in my heart.
Yeah.
And for $90, I would take it every day. But Carica is much more accessible. It's in a area that, people from San Francisco, people from Fremont, all over the East Bay and the San Francisco area can obtain, where, like you talked about, you got to drive way out of your way.
It was I spent 3 hours in the car to play Cinnabar. So there's certain courses I've told you. I think for me, I want to try all these courses, and you've been such a great conduit to do that. Places like Spanos, places like here. I think for me, I'm just being more picky. Like I loved Cinnabar, but even using kind of what you said, I think it's going to be more of like a thoughtful treat, right? Because I think it worked out great where I had a free Friday off of work, and we were able to get a tea time because Brian said that place on a weekend, it is just slammed. I'm not going to comment on pace of play on weekends because I don't know if it's bad, but I would imagine it's probably 5.5 hour round. There's a ton of people. It's just what you're, again, and it's next to San Jose. And at least Brian's take on San Jose golf, Chris, as I think I've told you, is for him, Brian lives in San Jose and either plays Cinnabar or goes to Monterey. He thinks that Cinnabar is pretty much the only course that he thinks is worth it. So of course you're going to get play like that. It's sort of why Presidio is so booked up, right? Because like if you live in, but again, even that, we have another option. San Francisco is not as big as San Jose and has Harding, and we have all these golf options. And if you're a golf sicko and obsessed over greens, you're probably going to go to Cinnabar or you're going to drive to Monterey. So it makes a whole bunch of sense why that place is so busy and so popular. And the one thing I got to say is they run a really tight ship. I mean, the people in the pro shop were super on it. The starter was great. And I'm sort of embarrassed to say this because based off what we said, because we were waiting on the guys. Like we were not playing slow and our thing said we were ahead of pace. But there was one point where the guys behind us were just on our ass. And like we got a ding on the cart that was like from the clubhouse. It's like, you're a hole behind, pick it up. And like somehow we weren't actually behind pace, but we were a hole behind. We got a ping, we picked it up a little bit, no problem, right? But it's like, cool, like where has that been? Where has that feature been? Like, why the fuck doesn't this happen more often, right? Like, it can be an old man or it can be technology, but, you got a starter who's like being very punctual, and then they send you a little ding. Like, again, we weren't slow. We were a hole behind. Give us a ding, play a little faster, and keep on rolling. I was like, this is, what more could you possibly want, right?
No, absolutely. And I mean, the technology's there. You might as well use it. So, if the pace of play can be, done and, worn to the golfers based on their GPS systems that are on the carts, why the fuck not? And what you were talking about with golf in San Jose, I've spoke about it in, previous episodes, and it is sparse in San Jose when it comes to golf. You've got a lot of executive courses, a lot of 9-hole courses. The
Sunken
only
Gardens, all the OG
Sunken
places.
Gardens, Sunken Gardens, all the ones we've talked about. I almost said Pumpkin Ridge. Prune Ridge is what I was talking about. And then San Jose Muni is really the only true 18 that's within the borders of San Jose. And for the amount of square feet that San Jose is, it's one of the largest cities in the Bay Area, if not the largest. And don't quote me on that, but it is a massive, area. To only have Coyote Creek, which is way out on the outskirts, almost to Morgan Hill, Gilroy area, and then have Cinnabar way out on the outskirts in the mountains, be your only options. It is kind of a tough scene. And it's not something that can be rectified because there is no fucking land. There's nowhere to build extra courses. So they've utilized the areas that allow them to build the extra courses still within, the parameters of the city. So,
no, totally. So, I mean, but to quickly run down kind of our usual nuggets, condition, fantastic. I cannot say, I'm going to pull you. I can't say anything bad about the condition, Chris. That's just for you. However, I do remember a couple of the golf holes. I know sometimes you can struggle with remembering any golf holes you play, but that's a separate conversation. Value for the area, I would say $90 is good, especially because, like, I mean, this is not a shock to anybody. The Bay Area is expensive. San Jose is expensive. And to get that quality, and again, it's kind of, you have to have a card. I don't know what the walking rate is. You should cart, but I think it's like, again, I think it was $88, I want to say. I think that's good. Call me crazy. I think that's good.
Fantastic price for the area.
Yeah. Also, very affordable merch. They actually had a 25% off Labor Day sale while I was there. Picked up a very nice khaki Cinnabar visor, and I got a comment. Love their logo. I think it's a hawk, and all of their logos, all of their tee markers are that hawk in different colors, and just cool. Like the back tees are the hawk tees, which are black. The tees we played, which is 6,349 yards. Those are the Cinnabar tees. Then you have the Quicksilver tees and the oak tees. I like when they're not named colors. I'm not giving them bonus points because of that, but I like how they have names. I like the cool logo. So just a little nugget there. Conditions, great. Greens, some of the best greens I've played in the Bay Area. Like, not hyperbole, some of the best greens I've played in the Bay Area. Layout, this is something I want to focus on a little bit, and you can help me flesh this out, Chris. I thought the layout was fascinating, and I think it was fascinating partly because I hit the shit out of the ball this day. I hit 13 fairways kind of out of nowhere. It is a layout where if you are not hitting it off the tee, you are going to get punched in the face because there's just a lot of, like, it's not canyon golf, but it's not canyon golf, if that makes sense. Like, a good example is number 3, which actually weirdly reminded me a lot of Vintage. It has power lines that are kind of running along it. But basically, like, number 3 is a dog leg to the right. It's an elevated tee box, and there's just shit right. Like, red hazard, you're not going to find it at all.
Just to verify, is that number 3 on lake?
Mountain.
Okay.
Yeah,
just wanted to verify.
Right. No, that's a good point. Dogleg right. There's just shit right. Cannot hit it right. You're dead if you're right. And then there's like, you can hit it left, but there's also a bunch of bunkers that are going to catch your ball. And if you hit it over those bunkers, you're not going to have a shot at all. So it's not a super long hole, but like in the fairways, plenty wide. But you know, it's like, cool, man. Like, you need to hit it here. Like, you can't blow it either direction. And there's a lot of holes like that. But I think there's a lot of interesting holes. Like, my personal favorite was probably 3, 4, 5 on the mountain. It's a drivable par 4. It was 349 yards, but it's straight downhill. And it's just kind of a classic risk reward hole. Like, Adam in our group tried to drive the green and kind of got eaten up because it got kind of a choke point up by the front. And there's kind of shit over on the left. And then kind of the hill just makes it very unappealing to hit it up there because you're just not going to score from up there. Where I hit a hybrid and a wedge. But even the hybrid, like, you had to think very strategically about the bunker and where to hit it. So I think the layout is just really fun because it's not, I guess I would say it's kind of target golf where it's like, you need to hit it here, but it offers you enough options where, like, I can go play the mountain course or both of them again and play them totally differently if I want to. And that, again, to me, like, we don't talk about this enough probably, but that is a course where, like, it could be my home course if I live near there because it's like the replay value is so high. It's like, cool, yesterday I hit a hybrid and a wedge, but today, fuck it, I'm just out here playing 9 holes and I'm going to try to drive the green on number 5. There's aren't many courses, I think, that have that many options. And also, I selfishly like a course that's requiring you to you know, it's nice to play some wide open golf courses, but it's also nice to play some courses where it's like, you kind of need to be hitting it on the planet to score well, man. And Cinnabar is a place that you need to be hitting it on the planet to score well, period. The end, you know? Yeah,
absolutely. And the one thing I like is a variety of distances on holes out there as well. Because one thing you see a lot, especially at public courses, is every par 4 is 400 yards to 420. Every par 5 is, 480 to 500. every par 3, it's the same distances over and over again and throughout the entire course. And the variety you get with this course, I think, is a big, factor here, because every par 4 is kind of all over. You've got 427, 363, 409. It's just kind of all over the place with the par 4s, and the par 5s are, a much more gettable, especially from the Cinnabar tees where you guys played. I don't think there's only one par 5 that's over 500 yards. Everything is under, 500. The first hole on the mountain course is 461 par 5.
Yeah, I had driver 6-iron in there.
That's so great. That's so much fun.
But you know what though, and I'm so glad you pointed that out. It's the first hole, so there's the caveat of like we had putted but weren't sure about the pace of the greens on there. I think we all 3-putted that green. So I was on the fringe putting for eagle and had to make like a testy 6-footer because I blew it like 15 feet past the hole. And the green is like this like kind of multi-tiered green. The pin is all the way in the back. You really shouldn't hit it past the green. But that's good golf architecture, right? It's like, cool, you have an option for eagle. But like, again, I made a good putt for par. Like I was about to 4-putt the first hole. But that's fun. Like that, it's not like, can you kill your driver and then kill a 3-wood? It's like, but then some green's super flat and the pin's in the middle. It's like, no, I hit driver 6-iron and almost 4-jacked. That's fun.
No, and the creativity that you get to have on a hole like that is fantastic. And like you said, the more you play courses like that, the more, variety of shots that you get to create, because you get to know the undulations of the green. You get to know where to hit, certain shots. And on certain days, especially at Cinnabar, you're going to have a lot of wind because you're up in this, foothill area that when you get into the afternoon at Cinnabar, it can start gusting out there. You can get 15, 20 mile an hour winds easily out at Cinnabar. So every time you get out there and play, it's a completely different, playing condition that you're going to create, not only with the rotating 27, holes that they have, but with the, weather that you're constantly changing out there.
No, it's a great point, because with wind, if that hole with 20 miles an hour wind, 460 becomes 550. Just
Absolutely.
Immediately.
Yep.
Because it's also a little uphill. So, again, you hit a good drive. And then, like, I would say if that hole was into the wind, I hit driver 6-iron, I probably would have hit driver 230-yard hybrid, or more, right? And then that hole just becomes way, way harder, because then you combine that with a very complicated green, with the fact that you shouldn't miss it long, and you've got a 3-wood in your hand. Yeah. And I will say the conditions were like pretty benign today. So, I mean, it could definitely be had, but again, that's another, I think, pro if you're talking about a place where variable wind, a lot of different options, a lot of different tees. Like, again, I think it's one of the courses where we could do a golf trip where we play 36 holes, or we make it where like we play at Cinnabar for every day for a week, and we wouldn't get sick of it. And that's just not something I think I don't think I realized how much I enjoyed it until I've had time to marinate and talk to you, because I had a great day, but like, it is a place where it's like, man, shit, even though it's 90 minutes for me and the traffic is fucking bone zone, it's worth the drive. Like, I really liked Spanish Park. I really liked it. I don't know that I need to drive to Stockton that often to do that. It's fun. It's really fun. But this is a place where, like, now that you're saying it, it's like, shit, I kind of do want to hit driver on 5. And like, what does Canyon look like? What if the wind blows 30? And normally that's just not how you feel walking off a golf course. So yeah, even this conversation has made me appreciate it more. But that's why I love doing this, because, this is where it was my first time. But, I would say you're kind of an OG I picture you now like a Cinnabon costume, like giving out samples. But think of your Halloween costume, or coming up on Halloween. Maybe you're the well, I don't know. I picture you walking around your neighborhood giving out samples, and they're like, okay, don't go to the Reinhardt household anymore. That guy's handing out cinnamon rolls to little kids. Be careful over there.
Especially during COVID, that might not be a great option. But
sometimes you have moments where you're talking about golf and you forget about a global pandemic and the world comes crashing back down. So, but on that happy note, it's a great course.
It's a treat. It's a Cinnabon. It's Cinnabar Hills. So you guys, I mean, it's fantastic. If you haven't played Cinnabar, go check it out. It is worth the drive for sure. And you know what? If you're flying into, the Bay Area, anywhere in Oakland, San Jose, San Francisco, and you're driving to Monterey, it's actually kind of
stop there.
You should stop there and play it because it's definitely
That's
worth.
True. That would be a great
spot.
way to start a golf trip for people flying into town. That's a good point. Yeah, or like you said, fly into San Jose, play Cinnabar, and then drive to Monterey. That's a good call.
You only have an hour 20 drive to Monterey from San Jose Airport, so make the extra 15-minute detour, and shout out Matt Cardis, and make your way up to Monterey after that, and thank the MuniciPals later, because it's definitely a treat that needs to be tasted by everybody.
Extra frosting. I almost said dressing. That would be disgusting. But I've been doing too much talking. Chris, tell me about your track.
So, well, I'm going to start a little bit about this course that we're not going to go too much into detail because, to be honest, the conditions of this course were absolute dog shit. It's this course in a town called Eagle Creek, Oregon, and the course is also called Eagle Creek Golf Course. First, driving up to it, beautiful drive out there. Gorgeous river that you kind of cross and wind along on your way out to the golf course. You get out there, really beautiful clubhouse from the outside. You step inside, bare bones. There was nothing in there. You had, a refrigerator with some refreshments, and you had a guy checking people in, and that was about it. And all their carts are kept outside, and all their cart paths are dirt. So it was just like a dust pile everywhere. So, and the first tee is a par 3. So it's kind of a little boring and wide open. And the one thing you notice right off the bat is there is no fairway to be found on this entire course. I mean, it was dried out, burnt out, bare. There was nothing through the entire course. But it was great. I was out there because we wanted to play a new course, something that both me and my playing partner wanted to kind of get into. My buddy John Gaffney, I decided to start this thing out in Portland. Again, another event type situation that I wanted to create and kind of open it up to the community of golfers out here. And so I decided to post that I wanted to do a 32-man match play bracket. And basically with the match play and with the bracket, I talked a little bit about it in a past podcast, but with the bracket, everybody had to pay $20 buy-in, winner takes all. So we pulled random names out of a hat, put them all within the bracket, and whoever you got matched up against, you had to find a golf course, set up a tee time, play your match. Whoever won advanced. And we played net handicap. So if you were a scratch or better, you played at a 0. If you were, over an 18 handicap, you played at an 18. And everybody in between played at their handicaps. And so you got however many strokes that were difference between you and your partner. And has been an absolute blast so far. So me and my playing partner John decided to go out to this course called Eagle Creek. Oh man, I think we both weren't anticipating what we were getting into, but through, I think by the third, fourth hole, we just realized how great the bones were of this course. And the easiest way to describe it, and kind of what Ashton said, it's kind of like the skeleton left over of a dead animal, where it was on its journey. It at one point was a great calf. It was born, it lived its life, and at some point it got lost from the herd, died, and this was what was left of it. And it was sad to see, because every single hole we went up to, we had the same, thought process. We looked at each other and we were just like, God damn, if someone came here with a little bit of money and brought in a good architect. Guys, I'm just saying, we got Dan Hickson locally here in Oregon. We got David McClay Kidd out here in the Pacific Northwest doing stuff all the time. If anybody could buy this course and bring in an architect that saw what we saw and saw the bones of this track and saw it sitting right on the river, river's edge, right on these cliffs, beautiful, beautiful, giant property that could absolutely be turned into a great, par 72, 66 to 6,900 yard course. If anybody could get out there to touch this course, it would be epic. It's very much a Parkland style course that is also what I call prairie dune style track as well. So it goes in and out of these trees, comes out back into this prairie, this old farmland, and it's just absolutely beautiful property that just is mishandled, mistreated, not taken care of, and it's just really sad.
Hey, Chris, when you say, because I've never heard you say that before, when you say prairie dune style, are you referring to it's set up like prairie dunes / you haven't played prairie dunes? So just explain that more, because I don't actually know what you mean.
So it's kind of a term that I think I created and coined myself, because there's two different types of link style courses. You've got the Australian sandbelt style golf courses. Then you've got your Scottish Irish links style golf courses. What is starting to happen, and what you noticed in some of, in America, are these more inland courses, or not golf courses that are technically built on the water, but they're built on a little bit more of a sandy property, or something that has a little bit more of natural fescue and a natural feel to it. But it's more inland, built on either, old cattle farms or in these prairie style areas. And you get a semi-link style feel to them, but it's not necessarily a link style course, or it's not built on 100% sand, based property like you would call an Australian sandbelt course.
No, that makes sense. I just needed you to explain, because I was like, I really want to play prairie dunes. I've heard great things, but I couldn't tell you the first thing about prairie dunes other than what I've read in Tom Coyne, next week's guest, his book. So no, that's super helpful.
I guess you'd call it a little bit more prairie links than you would prairie dune style. It's that's the only way I can explain it, because it's more of a wide open scape. I would almost consider Rustic Canyon a little bit of that, where it's very natural, very open.
So maybe we should get Shackelford to do it then. Maybe he can do the renovation.
You could even do Shackelford out there, but I mean, it's a course that I wish, and maybe in our future, the more people that we meet and more architects that we might create relationships with, I would love to be able to bring an architect out there and just drive around in a cart and just show them the golf course and be like, look, find somebody to buy this and hire you, because this place could be so good and it could be such a destination in the greater Oregon or Portland area. It's such a good property. So I don't want to waste any more time with Eagle Creek because the conditions were so bad. But I really just wanted to talk about how.
But one thing you said though is you said the
was.
greens were good, right? You were just saying like the because I think that's worth noting. Like if people are like intrigued by what you said, the greens are decent, but just expected dust bowl, right?
Yeah, the only place that was watered on the entire course were the greens. So you had nice circular, green spots, around the green, but even the rough and the surroundings of the greens weren't the best. So if you do go out there, check it out. It isn't a bad price. I think we paid $40 with the cart, and for what you get and the layout, it was really fun in that aspect. But just be prepared. The fairways, there's just nothing to hit off of. You're gonna be hitting off of dirt and burnt out grass. It's just not enjoyable in that aspect. But it was a good time. I enjoyed it and I won my match, so couldn't be too mad about that.
There you go. Now get us onto the full review you want to do of the other track.
Absolutely. So other track I got to play on my birthday. Shout out my wife. She just said, "Hey, do whatever you want, play golf all day," and I took
shout out to all the partners who let us obsess over this crazy game. I love you, Liz. That's for you.
Yeah, I mean, we have the most patient and understanding, better halves that
it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. The amount of golf that we get away with, people just don't understand how we still have people that love us. So, it's.
But fortunately though, it's all we have. We don't buy cars. We don't. I don't know. Like, I think sometimes I have friends who it's like they probably have the same level of like sickness, but it's spread across like they're like when they're not skiing, they're like it's like they're doing everything. It's like, well, I'm going skiing and then it's mountain biking and then it's music festivals. It's like, no, I'm just gonna go play golf on Saturday. Like that's it.
Yeah, it's our only addiction, and I think that's kind of our scapegoat there.
Yeah,
but. Cross Creek. Down near Salem, Oregon, about 20 miles west of Salem, Oregon. Decided to play a course I haven't played, and unfortunately there's not a lot left in the Portland area, so now I'm having to venture out an hour or more to kind of be able to play any courses that I haven't been able to get to yet. And Cross Creek, I've heard from many people out here, and it was recommended by a lot. So I decided to book a tee time, $40 with cart, great deal. Booked it online, headed out there, 8 a.m. tee time. Pulling out there, you get to see it right off the freeway on your way in. It was a really interesting track. I don't know how to kind of jump into it because so there's been a slight drought, and something that a lot of my Californian listeners and people that I play with and friends have kind of come to understand is there's just not a lot of water to go around. So a lot of these courses just unfortunately, over the last 6 to 8 months have really got burnt out, especially with the high heat that we've had, especially in Oregon, because it does not get over 100. And we've seen 110, 115 degree days. So these courses just aren't prepared for that. So I want to give the course the benefit of the doubt that it was burnt out and brown and in not great shape around the fairways because of that, because the green surround tee boxes were really, really good. They were in great shape. And other than, them not having people out there repairing their ball marks, which is typical for a public course, we all know. One thing I loved when I was out there is I only saw 3 groundskeepers on the course. I started my round at 8 a.m. and 2 of the groundskeepers were female. I was stoked on that. I have played a ton of golf, and I rarely, if ever, see a female groundskeeper. And they had 2 out there, and one of them was cutting the cups. And I thought that was super fucking cool. So, just want to shout out all my female groundskeepers, all my female caddies, Chris, our homie, all the girls kicking ass in the golf industry. Keep it up. We need fucking more of that. But
and shout out, I wasn't there, but I see the messages. Also, ladies coming out to Muni Madness, like shout out to Sophie, right? Like making some putts. Looks like she's draining, like fucking putting her ass off. So just shout out just shout out to everybody, but not just the supers, but people coming out to Muni Madness and taking your dumbass's money.
Yeah, Sophie is a stick. She also is a incredible photographer, and she really focuses on photography for golf. She does some great photography at a lot of courses across the Pacific Northwest, and she's working her way through the country. So keep an eye out for her. I will shout her out on our Instagram actually when this pod comes out on Friday. So if anybody wants to follow her, she is an absolute wonderful follow. So give Sophie some love. And so back into Cross Creek, the amenities of Cross Creek were very slim. Your typical Muni. They had a small bar and grill that offers your burger and hot dog type situation. A little early for your boy to get a hot dog. I finished my round in 2.5 hours. So by the time I was done, and I started at 8, it was only 10:30. So it was just too early for me to dabble in the dog. So I didn't get to give you guys a review on that. But the pace of play, I mean, as I just said, 2.5 hours, 8 o'clock round. It was a Monday morning, so I will give them that. But the one credit I will give is going to be the local golfers. These guys need to teach a fucking clinic to all public golfers on how it should be when people roll up to you. Usually, if people have played public golf, usually a lot of groups will wait until you get to a par 3 where you get to the tee box, and either you meet them at the tee box and they let you play through, or you get to the tee box and they're just getting to the green and they wave you through. Nope, not these guys. Not these guys. I roll up to a par 5. They're in the middle of the fairway. I'm not even out of my cart or grabbed the club yet, and they're yelling at me, waving me through. This was one of my favorite things I've come across on a golf course in so long, that every single person I approached immediately waved me through. No questions, no thought. Auto, hey, this is the single, this is a guy by himself, let's just get him moving. And hats off to these guys, because that made my day so much better, that I was able to play at my pace, which if you're a single, I'm sorry, you should be able to get a 3 hour 18 holes in if nobody's stopping you and it's wide open. There's no reason that you should be playing 4-hour rounds by yourself. The only reason 4-hour rounds exist is when you're in groups, because there's multiple people hitting, multiple people trying to find balls and all of that. So if you're by yourself and you're playing rounds without being held up by people over 3 hours, you're fucking failing. So figure things out.
Yeah, I love that. That just makes it just is so nice when people get it. And it sounds like they certainly got it. So, okay, so going down our list, conditions of greens were good. Amenities, did you talk about amenities?
We
Not
did.
yet.
They were so-so. There wasn't much to talk about. It's your typical Muni, with just your typical bar and grill and your essentials you'll need if you forgot anything at home.
Okay, perfect. Pace good with the caveat of Monday morning. So I think that the other two things are, I wouldn't probably say you're deep in the Salem golf scene, but like we talk about value for area, and also value for condition. So what is kind of your take there?
I would say, because like I said earlier, I want to give the benefit of the doubt to the groundskeepers and the people keeping the course in the shape that it's in, because of the drought and because of the excessive heat that has gone on through the years or through this year. I think it's caused a lot of issues for groundskeepers. And
it's actually not their fault.
No, and when you guys do listen to Tom Coyne's pod after this one comes out, we actually do talk about that. And I think sometimes going back, and I think me and Ashton need to own up to this a little bit, we've been a little harsh on some course conditions without actually knowing.
There's no fucking water in the state of California.
Yeah. So, we've been a little harsh with that. And Tom Coyne definitely, said to us, like, hey, I give the benefit of the doubt to a lot of these courses if I go and play them and they're not in the most immaculate or perfect shape, because we don't get to speak to the superintendents. We don't get to find out what issues they're dealing with on a daily basis. And every course, every state, every territory is going to have different issues. And agronomy is a science all on its own. So having these conditions, especially at a Muni in a public course, is much harder because you don't have the constant income and the reliability of memberships to guarantee if you put 50 grand into this thing or you put whatever amount you need to do to renovate this thing, that you're going to have that constant revenue. The public courses right now have to be very savvy because for all we know, all these COVID golfers are going to drop off.
Yeah.
And then they're going to lose all that revenue that they then decided to implement into all of these extra things that they're doing. So,
Yeah. And the other thing, Chris, that we should probably do more of, I'll follow up with Hussey, but with how much I talked to him, I feel like he would have told me. If you remember back to the podcast I did with him, he actually found the head of agronomy at Metropolitan and was like, hey, we really enjoyed our round, but like the course isn't playing necessarily as we would think. Why is that? Right? Like we actually found Metropolitan to be very wet, which is very bizarre because it's in Oakland, California, next to an airstrip, and it's kind of soggy. That's just not what you would expect. So, I don't know if people would find this compelling, but I think it's probably worth, Hussey just said on the website, their head of agronomy, was his email is on there, and that also might I know we've certainly tried, we haven't had any luck yet, but also trying to get people in the agronomy space to come on and talk a little bit and shed a bit more light, because to your point, we probably should be more charitable. To be clear, everybody, I'm not going to be fucking charitable about Sharp Park. This doesn't change anything. In fact, Chris, you'll hear this next week, Chris got me all whipped up with Tom Coyne. I'm fucking shouting about Sharp Park to Tom Coyne, which we'll see how it turns out. Like,
I stirred the fucking pot.
The goddamn bear.
Yeah, I stirred the pot there. I got Ashton a little riled up when it came to Sharp Park, and I think Tom had to bring him down to earth when we got in on that.
Bad because one thing we talk about is I was like, it should be they don't give a shit. It turned into a park, and he's like, well, I think the SF Parks Department is that's what they want to do. I'm like, damn it. So no, we're not relitigating this again. I can't talk about this anymore. But
anyways, getting back into Cross Creek, the course, to be honest, was really, really,
To be honest, folks, we're getting better. This is only the second one
I got tonight, but the layout was enjoyable. I really had a good time out there, for what it was. And even though the fairways were a little bare, the one cool thing is I got great roll on my ball. So, I was I shortened a lot of the holes because I was getting, some great bounces and some good looks when it came to all the dryness that was out there. The cool thing is it's not a long course. 6,300 is what I played at the Orange. And so that's the second to the tips. So it goes black, orange and green combo, green, yellow combo, and yellow. So you can go all the way from 68 to 48, depending on what you're playing. And I really like the flexibility of that. And I like that they put multiple combos in there to kind of give you a complete flexibility. And that was really enjoyable. And
yeah,
so there was a couple really great holes. I think what I text you,
the holes.
So what I text you is this course really reminded me, any of our Bay Area guys that have played there, it really reminded me of, or ladies, of Chardonnay. So,
which is a big pro. I mean, we did an entire podcast. We love that place. That's a big check mark to me.
Yeah, and that's the same with me. The way the layout came about and it was put together is very, similar in that aspect. And the cool thing in why it's called Cross Creek is there's 5 creeks that meet in the middle of the course that cross throughout the entire course. So it's kind of a neat little layout that kind of goes all over the place. You've got little bits of water that challenges you throughout the course, but really doesn't come into drastic play to where it's penalizing. It's more of just a beautiful, scenery. And there are some ponds and things out there, but again, because of the drought, they were literally non-existent. There wasn't much water in them. They were pretty bare, but that unfortunately I think is again in turn caused by the drought. So for me, my favorite hole in the course was dogleg right 12th hole, which was a par 4, not long. So where I played it from was 431, and it was a complete 90 degree dogleg, and it's such a new course that the trees that they planted when the course was built aren't tall enough yet to where it hinders you to go over the corner. The only thing that deters you from doing it is they have a net that runs along the right-hand side of the tee box. And if the tee box is set up right next to the net, it eliminates the entire right side for you to be able to cut the corner. Luckily, when I was out there, they put the tee box all the way to the left, and I was able to hit it directly over the corner. And so I took a driver, I hit a left to right, so aimed it a little bit more towards the middle of the corner, a little bit into the fairway, and just faded it right over the trees. And I think I was about 120 in, 130 in when I got up there. So really fun, enjoyable hole, and it gives you different variety because again, you could take the corner, you could lay a 3-wood out to the 3-wood, 5-wood out to the middle, and then got something in. It just gives you a lot of variety there. And then once you finish that hole, you go up this hill, and it's the highest point of the golf course, and the views that you get from the 13th tee box were really spectacular because it's within these giant farmlands, but also within this kind of valley surrounded by all these foothills full of evergreen trees, and just a very picturesque place to play. And I really enjoyed it. But 18 would also be probably my second favorite hole that I played out there. It's a really interesting double creek crossing par 5. So you basically have to about 260 to hit the second green, or the second creek. The first creek really isn't in play. It's right in front of the tee boxes. So I guess if you top it or anything like that, it'll bring you right into that creek. But it's really just, for how picturesque the course is. It's more for visuals than anything else. And I think if you bang a 3-wood out there, it's really gettable to get close on your second shot because it's not very long. You're looking at 453. The only defense the hole had, I thought, was that the hole was uphill. So basically, you had about to 280 on the flat spot, and then right at 280, it then went up a steep hill that went up about 15, 20 feet. So it was a pretty drastic hill, and it took a little bit more to get up there, but really enjoyable hole. Enjoyable course, other than the conditions being a little spotty. And then after I finished that round 2.5 hours, I was able to get home, have lunch with the wife on my birthday, and then, get out to Muni Madness and have a fucking blast.
Dude, what a beautiful day. And just curious, I mean, I'm sure people in Oregon know, but for me, how far is that drive, like, from your house to Salem, like, or the golf course? Like, how far is it?
So it was just over an hour. So it was like an hour and 10 minutes or so. It's pretty much a straight shot down I-5, and then once you get down to Salem, it'll kick you off to an auxiliary highway that'll bring you out there. So
cool.
Pretty easily accessible, and especially if you're out in wine country, in Newburgh or Dundee or anything like that, you can cut right down. It's only about a 30-40 minute drive from wine country right outside of Portland.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you got some GN and got to celebrate your birthday. So I know there's a couple more rounds that I'd play that I actually don't think we'll highlight here because this one ran a bit long. I'll do it on a different podcast. But 2 things I wanted to quickly say. We've mentioned this course a couple times. You haven't done a full review, and I'd like to at some point. But I just want to shout out Monarch Bay. I just had such a nice time on Friday. I played an afternoon round. It was $19 to walk, and it was just wonderful. Granted, we got lucky. It was pretty mellow. The sun was shining. You get a huge view of the bay, downtown San Francisco, planes landing over your head, and it's $19. So if someone is just looking for an afternoon round, we're not going to break the bank and, just have a really good course with great greens, go out there. We'll do a full review on it at some point. Wanted to call that out. And then as a bit of a teaser, me and producer Jack, we went down to the golf club at Moffett Field, and man, it was just a trip. I mean, it's a golf course on like a NASA air base. It's unbelievable. Like, it's just a really interesting place that, again, on a future podcast, we'll go into greater depth on, but had a really good time at Moffett, excited to dive in. But at least for right now, I think, given you guys are probably like, good, cool guys, it's been an hour. Can you shut up? So we'll stop for now, but I'm excited to go deeper on some of these other courses. Yeah, man, it was great to kind of, as we said, I think we've heard feedback from people like our buddy Brandon, shout out Brandon, sort of liking the diversity that we've kind of switched up a little bit. I think it's been good for us, but this is kind of the meat and potatoes of what we do. So it's certainly good to get on and hear about your courses. Cause again, we text, you always call me when you're driving home, we talk, but it's really nice to memorialize these conversations and hopefully give our listeners some nuggets. So, it's like, yeah, if you're in the Bay Area, just get your ass down to Cinnabar. And it sounds like people in the Portland area or greater area should get down to Cross Creek. Both courses would give a big, gigantic thumbs up on.
Yeah. So what, before we get off, only thing I wanted to ask, what courses or what things do you have coming up in the next couple weeks? Yeah.
Thank you for asking. This weekend, I'm playing at a 2-man best ball event with our buddy Nate from RGC. We're playing at Crystal Springs in Burlingame. I've never played there before. I'm really excited about that. Yeah, really excited about that. So I'm playing with Nate. And then the other fun fact is when I went to Monarch, I got paired with this wonderful guy, JD, and his wife, who they played with me as the 3 of us. We had a great time. And JD, I mean, both of them, but like, I could tell, like, JD, like, we kind of just immediately liked each other's style. And he basically brought up like us swapping numbers on like the 3rd hole, which was pretty cool. So he was like, hey, are you playing next weekend? And I was like, I'm playing in this tournament. So he actually grabbed a buddy, and he's going to be, I asked that we get paired with them. So that's also a moment of just a little appreciation that, I was talking to Liz about it. it goes very much into the Tom Coyne, kind of the impetus for us wanting to get Tom on, right? About how, especially as a grown man at this point, right? What other context am I going to randomly meet somebody who I like so much that I'm then going to see them the next weekend, right? Like, I'm going to see JD more in the next over a 7-day stretch than I've seen some of my good friends in San Francisco in the last couple of months. And that's the beautiful thing about golf, right? Like, I've only spent 2 hours with JD, but I know that we're going to be homies, right? And I think that's cool. And we've talked about how golf, that can only happen through golf. And there's just something about, like, you know, like, I was like not watching him, but also watching him, right? Like, I looked in his bag and I saw, you know, he's playing the black tees at Monarch, which is 7,000 yards, and he's got Shrixon blades. And I'm sort of sitting there like, okay, like, this is going to be interesting. And then he hits his first shot and I'm like, fuck, like, okay, like, that's not the way my irons sound off the club, like, shit. And then the bigger thing is he's just like a really nice guy. But it was definitely a moment of golf where I came home on Friday and I was like, this game, yeah, it's fun to go compete, but, you know, this is why it's so fun, right? You and all your people at Muni Madness, and me meeting JD, and then even Nate, right? Like, again, met Nate through RGC. We've only played together once at Presidio and really liked him, and we've tried to link up and it just hasn't happened, and now we're going to go compete together. I have no idea how we'll do, and I don't really care. It's just going to be a great day at Crystal Springs, and if I win a skin or two, cool, and if I don't really care either. So that's that. And then the next weekend I'm doing my physical assessment for to get my hips more limber. I'll probably just practice. But I think that's pretty much it. And then we go to Kauai for Liz's 30th. But my sort of short-term goal that I haven't talked about that much, because I don't know how I'll do, because I don't know if my swing will be ready. But the Presidio Men's Club Championship is Halloween weekend. And I'm going to try. I don't know how well I'll do, because it's sort of that tough part when you have something upcoming. It's like, do you just commit to what you've been doing? Do you try something new? I don't know. But so my plan is basically to practice a lot between kind of now and probably middle of October, and then get a couple rounds in before that. So just the one round kind of on the books, at least for now. But again, I think this is not my style and something I don't love doing, but it's going to be a lot more practice, because I'm sure like you're feeling the same thing. It's like just a little tweak. I got it on the course and it's like, I felt like I was swinging right-handed. Like, not really, but you know what I'm saying, right? You feel like it's like, this is something, it's not my golf swing, and I need to go hit 1,000 balls. And that's honestly probably more important than playing right now. So that's a longer answer than you expected, but there's, you know, it's just kind of a gratitude for the one. I mean, it's part of the podcast, right? Like, the wonderful people we meet playing golf. It was a good reminder on a Friday where, you know, I signed up and made a tee time, and I'm like, am I about to go up and make a fucking single? Am I about to be a single at Monarch? Like, I don't know. And I met these wonderful people. So excited to get to know JD better. So what about you, homie? I'm sure you're probably got 15 rounds lined up in the next week.
Not 15. I am going
only 12.
I am going to play Eastmoreland. So Stotts, who is the guy that runs Golf Week Magazine's AM Tour out here in Portland, has been so gracious to the MuniciPals and has really brought us on kind of as an ambassador to kind of promote his tour that he's doing out here, and has graciously invited me to play in all of their tournaments that have come up since I moved out here, and I've been absolutely blessed to be able to go out to those. So we have our final one of the year out at Eastmoreland, the Muni of Munis out here in Portland, and I'm really excited about that. That's next weekend. And then I am also, the weekend after that, Stotts, our buddy Dane, who is with Matchstick Golf, and Joel will be heading down to like the Bend area, and we'll be playing Black Butte, which is a amazing resort down there. And then we're going to be playing a 4-man scramble 2-day 36-hole event down there, and it's a pro-am. So it's going to be PGA pros and amateurs. And I'm really excited to go down there and do that. So stoked. And then we have another pro-am again that I was invited out to at Pumpkin Ridge the following week after that. So, some fun things coming up, and I'm sure I'm going to throw some more rounds somewhere sprinkled in the middle of that.
Of course.
So there's plenty to go. And then now that I made it into the Sweet 16 of the match play bracket, I also got matched up against our buddy JP, Suck My Par. So we actually
he's got to change the name, man.
So JP on the links.
It's both. Yeah. It just makes me uncomfortable.
He's known by Suck My Par now, so I don't think he can change it. But anyway, I love JP. Joel's the homie.
He's a great follow on Instagram. It's just every time I see Suck My Par, I cringe a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like, JP, I love you. There's nothing. I don't want to suck anything. I'm good. I'm good.
Well, I'm not sucking any pars because I'm gonna beat his fucking ass in our match play. So
you're gonna suck down a hot dog at the turn.
Yep. And win 5-4. So that's my goal. That's my plan.
Damn, I am gonna follow up on that.
Yeah.
That is that you just predicted a ass whipping.
Oh, I'm gonna whoop JP's ass. So I hope he listens to this, and I hope he hears that I'm fucking coming for his throat. So your boy, when money is on the line, steps the fuck up.
Just not ball markers. Well, I guess you still fucking have it, even though I wiped the floor with you in that tournament in our little thing. Chris still has our ball marker. It's been getting some good use, but I'm excited to, we'll talk about this soon, but I'm excited to plan to hopefully see you in the coming months because it's been a while since we put in the peg in the ground together and I don't like it. So we got to rectify that soon.
Yep. Now that your boy's got the job situation figured out here and we've got that income flowing again, we'll be able to get that put on the books. So anybody also, so my new job is kind of my old job, but, a little bit more elevated now. So anybody in the greater Portland area, if you need a club fitting, hit up your boy. I am now going to be a master club fitter. It might be a little while until I'm in the shop and actually able to fit you guys, but one thing I haven't told you, I'm going to have to go out to Chicago for an entire month for training for the new job.
You can just tell the people now, you didn't tell me that you got that job either. I didn't know this until right now. The last time I knew you were doing sales for for Maggie's company. So I didn't even know this until right now.
I just finalized and found out about this today. So I will be finalizing the paperwork this week and figuring out, when training and everything starts. So I will be joining the team of Club Champion out here in the Portland area. And I'm really, really excited for it. Anybody that's listened to this pod knows how passionate I am about golf equipment. So, being able to go from working at a Honda dealership or a Ford dealership at Golf Mart and now moving up to selling Ferraris and Lamborghinis is pretty fucking cool. So I'm pretty stoked about it.
I can say congratulations, Chris. This is something I'm finding out live, but that's sick, man. I'm happy for you.
Yeah. It just came out today and just kind of went through today. So I'm really, really fucking excited for that opportunity. And hopefully I can bring my sticks out to Chicago and get some courses in out there. That would be money if I was able to get some great golf in Chicago. Maybe
awesome.
Maybe hit up our boy Andy. See if I can get out there.
Big Chris, how's it going?
Get a little fried egg municipal cross action.
Amazing. Well, Chris, dude, congratulations, and hope the people enjoy Tom Coyne next week, and we will do this soon. Okay.
Yes, sir. Take it easy.
Peace.